Welcome to the 2.0 Grandma Podcast, a space created by a grandma for grandmas and all about grandmas. Our mission is clear: to empower and support grandmas as they redefine, realign, and redesign their lives.
So how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. You are looking fabulous,
Oh
honey.
no, you don't. I listen. I'm on your podcast. I'm just trying to hang in there with you. You the master. You the master.
I'm so excited to get a chance to get to know you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. I think we have a lot in common.
Yes, ma'am.
Reading your bio, and I was like, okay. So yeah, I'm excited. So first, let me welcome you to the 2.0 Grandmas podcast.
Yes,
Now we
ma'am.
are all about grandmas. I say that we are fab. So this podcast is for grandmas, it's about grandmas, and it's by a grandma. Now that does
Absolutely.
not mean that if you're not a grandma, you cannot partake, because yes, you can, honey. Because I think we can learn from each other, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, so I'm just so delighted to have you, Dr. Temeca Richardson. And
Yes,
I think
ma'am.
I
Yes,
know
ma'am.
your last name. I think I know someone with your same last name from North Carolina. And I'm thinking, I wonder if she's related to them. So where are you from?
Oh, well, we all have roots here in the South, but
Uh-huh.
I'm from California, from the West Coast. I live
Okay.
in Atlanta right now, but I'm actually all my family is from that side. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I used to do fashion shows and pageants and stuff like that back in the day. And there was
Okay.
a guy whose last name was Richardson, was one of the models in my fashion show, and his dad was a judge
Okay.
in the area, and that's Lumberton, North Carolina. And I tell you, yeah, it was those were some good days. We had a lot of fun doing the fashion shows and things like that.
I bet. I bet.
But this is all about you. I want to hear about you. Like I said, I got your bio and I have some questions for you. So tell me who is Dr. Temeca Richardson, Dr. T, as we
Well,
so
I
love to call.
I do a lot of stuff. I am an educator. I'm a woman of God. I am a grandmother. And let me explain my grandmotherness
Yes.
is that I have one biological child. He does
Uh-huh.
not have any children, but I have an adopted, in air quotes, daughter who,
Right.
so I had one child, one son, and I always prayed that God allow me to be able to have a young lady that I mentor, that, I can really kind of take under my wing. And God blessed me with that young lady. Now, I wasn't specific because she just as crazy as I am. And I didn't read the fine print, Doc, beforehand. And she then said there were no take backs. It's a closed circle and you can't get out of it. Right. And I should have read the fine print. So I fell in love with her before I read the fine print. Uh, and she has two beautiful grandbabies, and them are my grandbabies. They call me Mati. I
Oh,
spoke to them today. And I am here. When I tell you, I am here for all the foolery, all of it, all 100% of the foolery. I am here for. I'm
I
here
love
for it all,
I
and
love
I
you already.
subscribe. Yes, I subscribe to it all. And yes, I'm wrong. And yes, I shouldn't do that. And yes, I shouldn't agree to that. But I'm going to because I'm a grandmother. So that's
Yes.
me
Yes.
and my grandmotherness. And then, I love coaching women. I love coaching. I love doing two things primarily. I do helping people to launch uh, specifically Christian women, or more specifically, I should say Christian women who want to launch an online business, generally speaking. And that's more for people who are launching, tend to not be people with a lot of money. Right. And I understand that. And I know that's the hardest part, and where I have a heart for that. But I
Mhm.
also work with leadership with people who do have money. Right.
Okay, kind of
So
balance it out. Right.
balance it out a little bit. Right. And so, I want to always be doing ministry work, and I always want to be doing, and even with higher end clients, that's still ministry work, because if you're doing what God has given you the gifting to do, then you're doing his will. And I just want to be able to help and impact Doc, as many people as I can on this side of heaven, as I like to say, do what we're called to do while we're here on earth, so we can make an impact. So that's, in a nutshell, me.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I like that what you said about focusing on women, Christian women.
Mm-hmm.
Many times, people just say, okay, if they got money, I'm focused on, whatever. And that seems to be the most important piece of it. But, and I love the idea too of this giving back. I always
Right.
say much is given, much is required. Okay. So
Absolutely.
if God
Absolutely.
bless you, you got to bless others. Okay. That's the
Absolutely.
name of the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I
Absolutely.
agree with you wholeheartedly. So now tell me about your background. I read you were a superintendent.
I was an area superintendent before. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, in Atlanta, because you're in Atlanta now,
No,
right?
actually, I was an area soup in Houston, but
Oh,
most of my tenure in education was in California, where I'm from.
okay.
So I did, principalships at all levels, a professor, all that sort of stuff.
Uh-huh,
If
uh-huh.
I dyed my hair, you wouldn't be able to tell I was as old as I was, Doc. I'm just trying to tell the people. A sister still, God, still feel 30 in my soul. In the deep part of my soul, I still feel young.
Yes, yes. I always say my number is 26. So I even have my grandkids say, I said, how old is grandma? They say 26. Said one day,
Right.
one of them questioned, said, but grandma, my dad told me that, yeah, I'm like, and then my other grandchild, one of my granddaughters said, "Don't you bully grandma? Don't make her say what she." So,
Now, so let me tell you, I have one that's similar. My mother, God rest her soul, she deceased. My mother, when she turned 29, said she was 29 for so long that
yeah.
I, to this day, can't tell you if she was born in 52 or 54. It's one of them, right? And I think it was 54, but she did that for like 3 or 4 years in a row. And I always had problems actually remembering how old she really was. So it ain't right. It ain't right, Doc. It ain't right.
I know, but even my friends and my colleagues, they say, and I would tell because I used to do training for Head Start, right? And so I
Uh-huh.
would go around the country and we would train, and then people would ask questions, and I said, well, oh, and they say, well, I remember. I'm like, oh, well, that was before my time because I'm only 26, right?
Right, right.
But
We
I
gonna add this
stayed
up the way it is
right, we're gonna ride that out to the end, baby. And I
to the
told my
end,
daughter,
to
I
the
said
end.
on my obituary and she was only 26. She did all this,
Right.
but she was only 26.
Only 26. She lived a wonderful life to
Exactly. She was
26.
only 26. Her children are now older than she is, and grandchildren
Yes,
are about to
yes.
be older than she is, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, and I have
Absolutely.
fun with it. It's all in fun. That's like you say,
Of
foolery,
course.
right? It's all
Yes, yes.
yes. So now I want to hear all about now tell me, what did you learn from your experience as superintendent, as principal, superintendent, and all of that, that has helped you launch your current business of helping folks,
Woo.
helping online coaching, online courses, I mean.
Now we don't have that kind of time, Doc. We do not have that kind of
Give me the
time.
annotated version, girl. Give me the
Oh
annotated
my
version.
goodness. One of the most profound things that I learned was that I'm going to say it like I say it, then I'll explain it. Is
Okay.
that I did not want to continue to work with people who didn't believe the sky was blue. And this is what I mean.
Hmm.
There are some people who need help, but
Mm-hmm.
don't want to accept help. And I don't want to keep pouring my heart into trying to convince somebody you need help, you need help, you need help. Because if you don't want the help, I don't want to try to give you the help. And oftentimes in education, you have you like I'm not going to get into unions and not unions, but there are teachers, there are people, not just teachers, but people that are in education that really quite honestly should not be in education, but they've been in it for so long. They should get out the system. It costs an average of about $250,000 to get rid of a teacher or someone in education that has tenure that's not good. And then you got to go through all this documentation. And some of them are not good for Black boys. Some of them are not good for
Preach.
uh kids that are that didn't come from where the same background, low socioeconomic status. Some of them want to talk fair. So for example, If all of the eighth grade girls are causing a problem and I want to build a program for the Black eighth grade girls, you mad because you say the program is not fair. But they're the only ones causing the problem. So now I got to create a program. But see, that doesn't make sense to me because so you want they talk about fairness and stuff, and it's all education is a multifaceted beast. And so I want to help people and work with people that want to be worked with. So I don't want to go into a school where, and I've done this before, where I'm coming in, I'm talking, and the teachers are mad at me because they didn't know. They found out 5 minutes ago they had a meeting after school. And now they upset because they had plans and now they got to come listen to this person, right? And I don't like having to swim upstream with that. And so if you don't believe you're supposed to be here, I want to work with people who want to be worked with. And so in entrepreneurship, because you're paying out of your pocket, oh, you want the help. You want the help, right? And so that was one of, if I had to say the most profound thing, I literally, before this call, Doc, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who, as we were restructuring things and we were talking about doing some things in education, I was like, I don't want to. I was like, nope.
I know those people. No.
I just don't want to because I have done it for long enough. I know what the problems are. I know where the dead bodies lay. I know how I know where they sweeping it. I know too much. I know too much. And I don't want to do that. And so I only want to work in places where I know people want to be worked with. Now, so I will say this on the flip side, if a school contacted me, if a district contacted me, I'm going to ask those questions, right? I'm like, who am I going to work with? Do these people know that I'm coming in to work with them? Did they volunteer to come to me working with them? Because that's like, do you want me? Like, and I have another thing I've learned. I'm too old not to be 100% authentically me.
Yes.
That might bless somebody right there. I'm too old. So I like to crack jokes and I'm not going to not crack jokes. I'm a strong personality and I'm not going to be a passive personality because that's just not who I am. I am one. I'm not going to break the rules, but I'm going to fracture several of them if I think that it's for kids. That did you hear? I don't break them, but I will fracture them. I will fracture them, right? Which I know technically is a hairline break, is still a break, but we gonna go past that. We'll go past that. So because if I believe it's the right thing for children, I'm not going to get into the foolery because it's still the right thing for children, right? So I'm going to fight for the right thing at the end of the day. And so I have to be, I've learned to be comfortable in my skin. I've learned that, hey, this is me, all of me, take all of me or none of me, because I can't just give you the answer because I think that's the politically correct thing to say. Because if I believe it, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to be offensive. I'm not going to be offensive. I'm not going to be, we all have prejudice. But I'm not going to be in the way that the culture talks about. That's just not who I am, right? But I'm a call out the truth. And if the adult is wrong, the adult have to apologize. If the leader is wrong, the leader have to apologize. If the district is wrong, the district have to apologize. If the kid is right, we're gonna stand on business, right? So that's who I am. And if you don't want all that, you don't want a sister. So those are some of the things that I've learned.
Wow, those are lots of lessons. When is your book coming out about that?
So you know what? I just have started. See, you play too much, Doc, because I have just been having conversations with God. Me and God is in this conversation about me writing a book. I've written a book before, written a couple more ebooks, but I have written, physical books. That's not an easy task. And let me give you book writing 101. When you are getting started with book, two things. One, you're not going to be a New York Times bestseller.
Right.
I just want to help some people. I want to help people. And number two, it is a glorified business card. It's really what it is. It can open some doors. It can right. And as it should, it can open some doors, but it's a glorified business card. And if you go into that knowing that, if you go into it knowing that it's just a part of your business portfolio and you're utilizing it to get more business, and you're good. But if you're utilizing it and not thinking you don't have to pay the editor, the copy editor, the cover designer, the person that's going to put all this together. And if you're producing it yourself, you are going to buy the books yourself, sell the books yourself. Like, if you don't understand that, don't write the book, right? So God and I are in negotiation about this next book.
So you and God are in negotiation.
And I'm gonna do it, right? Like, I sometimes will act like a 2-year-old, and I'm gonna fight, and I'm gonna kick and scream just because I need a nap, and then I'm gonna agree, right? So we're in the I'm fighting stage right now.
Yeah, I understand. I see it as a legacy, as part of my legacy, right? Of who I am. And my 2-year-old grandson. So I wrote my first book, I self-published myself. And it's because I've always wanted to do that beyond the dissertation, right? And I said, okay, I want to write about something that I want to write about. And people would say to me, well, you don't look like a grandma, you don't act like a grandma. So I'm like, what does a grandma look like and act like? So I
Right.
started interviewing and talking to other grandmas, and I said, "Oh, I could turn this into a book." And I said, "I think I'll self-publish." I have friends who are doctors who've self-published. So I said, "Okay, I'll self-publish it." God blessed me with an opportunity, right, to talk to a group, and they paid me. They wanted copies of my book, and they paid me for so many copies of my book. I'm like, hallelujah. Because guess what? I would still have those books if it had not for that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I knew going in, I'm self-publishing. That means I also got to be like Jay-Z and sell them out the back of my trunk. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so you have, like you say, you have to know these things going in. Because I have people saying, well, how did you write the book? And now how do you become a this and that? I'm like, I still don't know how to become a New York bestseller, honey. You tell me if you know, if you find out, please call me and let me know. Right. But the thing is, that's something that I wanted to do. And at this point in my life, that's what I'm about. I'm about doing the things that I've always wanted to do. Right. And
Absolutely.
if I have
Absolutely.
the access to the funds and the friends and the resources to get it done, let's do it. That's how
Yes.
I see it.
Yes.
The podcast is the same thing. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. So I said, I'm going to do it. And so
Absolutely.
God just put the right people in my path.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
really what it's all about. You know?
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
obedience first, right? It's the obedience
Yes.
first. I had the opportunity. My book was part of when I was teaching master's level students to be one of the books on the curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the obedience of it, right? And it's just like you just reiterated. It's going into it knowing this you got to sell them out your trunk, and this is how it really has to be, and it is a way to open the door,
Mm-hmm.
and that is just a piece of the whole entire puzzle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And the icing on the cake for me was with the second book, and I gave copies to my children, right? And I have 3 children. So my daughter put it on her bookshelf, her child's bookshelf. And he pulled the book out one day because she said, "Oh, go get a book for us to read," and he pulled out the book and he said, "Oh, that's Mama on that book." He
Famous
said,
now, you famous.
That's it. That was worth it right there.
Right
That,
there.
that
Right
was
there.
so now
Right.
my child believes, wait a minute, if Mama can write a book, maybe I can write a book, right?
Absolutely.
And
Right.
so, and it's something that he can cherish. And I was like, that's it right there. So that was the glory. That was the epitome in my mind of me being an author, of him seeing that book and knowing that that was his grandma on that book. So,
Yeah, and I think what you made me think of with that is you also have to know your why. Since we're in this vein of talking about a
yeah.
book, you have to know your why, because some people go into it and you're like thinking that I want to make $1 million, writing a book, and that for most people is not going to happen. The second thing is people want to tell their story, and I remember a lady who does a lot of ghostwriting said, "Don't nobody want to know about your story." Not they. We watch this. They write about, so I want to make sure I'm clear about what I'm saying. Famous people, we go buy their books a lot, right?
Right.
So yeah, people can want to know your story, but that's not going to be the thing that like, and then you have to know who your in person is. I remember this one lady was saying one time to me, Doc, she wanted to help, single moms that, were young, how to make it. She still hadn't quite made it, but that was just me being petty. And number two, the audience weren't ones that were running to the store to buy a book.
Buy books. Right.
Right. Like you have to know those things. And so, yeah, it's wonderful to be able to say, I want to tell my story in a book because it's something I've always wanted to do. Understanding you're doing it to the end of your satisfaction, right?
Mhm.
Not for this $1 million, because the odds for it's just like the odds of getting to the NBA. The odds are so slim with that being the thing. You know what I like to tell people the truth. And that's
Yeah.
another thing, as we get older, we get to grandmas, we can say what we want to say.
Yes, yeah. My
Everybody
mother
don't have to
always
like it.
said, she said, I'm a grandma. I can say what I want to say now. And so I aspire to that too. And I said, you know what, as a grandma, I can say what I want to say. And then I say to people, sometimes in professional settings, I say, well, I'm a doctor, so I can make up words if I want to. Right? I have liberty to make up words if I want to.
And now we have a double whammy, a doctor and a grandma. Do not
Oh
play with
my
us.
God.
Do
Watch out,
not,
Laura. Right.
do not play with us, Doc.
Oh my
Do
God,
not.
you're fun. Oh my God. That is funny. But you're right. That's a twofer. That's what we call a twofer, right? A grandma
Yeah.
and a daughter. Oh,
Twofer.
right.
Twofer.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God. Oh my, I could laugh and laugh and laugh for days. That's another thing about me. I love laughing. So I am going to find some joy.
Absolutely. Best medicine.
Yes, I am going to find some joy no matter what, no matter what, and I'm going to find something to laugh about. So now let's get on to these courses. I
Yes.
want to hear about this and how you've helped people develop the courses and this kind of thing. So, and I'll tell you my experience, not my experience, but what I want to do because I'm thinking you might be able to help me even. So,
Absolutely. So really, um, digital products are then really, a new type of currency where you
yeah.
can package your intellectual property and sell it, right? And courses to me are, and the reason why I love working with people that want to launch online, Doc, is because it lowers your overhead, right? It
Mm-hmm.
drastically lowers your overhead. Yeah, there's still some cost to it, but it drastically lowers your overhead. And so my goal is to be able to say, okay, who do you want, like what course do you want, or what are you thinking about? Who's your audience? What outcome do you want them to have, right? Do
Mm-hmm.
you want this to be a live course? Do you want this to be something that it's DIY, do it yourself, where they do it at their own pace? Is it going to be a shorter course, a longer course? And I like to be able to hear what they're talking about, sift through, the strategies that I have, and be able to be like, you're gonna need more to that, or have you thought about this, or this may lend itself better to that, there's such a, and then it has to, I look at, do you, like, some people don't like to be on camera. Well, there are still ways to do courses where you can just do your voice, over, a PowerPoint that you're recording. But then you have to know that more courses, people like live courses better. That's always going to be number one, or webinars. So it's really just being able to say that, talk to people who have intellectual property, who have experience, who have an expertise, who have education, any, and a combination of that. You've done it for a long time, or even people, watch this, even if you're just starting, you really can still package. If you're not afraid to say, like, I barely know this, there's always somebody that's a step or two behind you that want to maybe even go along on the journey. So there's nothing even wrong with that. It's just that, like, you just have to know, if you're going to do it yourself, there's some technology behind it. Like, I have to know what a person know. Can you record your own videos? Can you edit your own videos? Where are you going to host? Do you already have a platform to do that? Do we need to build you a platform? Do you have your email stuff set up? Do you not have your email set up? How are we going to do the marketing? It's so much involved with it, because sometimes people think, okay, I'm gonna do a course. You know that the movie with old school movie with Kevin Costner, If You Build It, They Will Come?
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
lie. Look, I'm gonna say in my Holy Ghost microphone, that's a lie, people. That's a lie. It's a Holy Ghost microphone. It's a lie. Don't do it. Don't believe it. It's not.
What's the
No.
difference in the Holy Ghost microphone and the other microphone?
So, and I'm gonna tell you the difference. So this microphone was gifted to me, and it's a Shure brand microphone.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the microphone I had before. I actually have it sitting here. It was like a USB. It would serve me well. And when I put this microphone on with these headphones I got, I heard the Holy Ghost, Doctor. I heard the Holy Ghost in my voice. I said, "Oh, this is a Holy Ghost microphone, y'all." So that's why I
I
call it the
can
Holy
tell
Ghost
the
microphone.
difference when you speak into it.
Yeah, it's a this Shure brand microphone
Mm-hmm.
is the truth. It is absolutely the truth.
Wow.
So it's
Sure
a
brain,
great brand.
SURE, sure.
SHURE. Yes. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
SHURE.
SHURE. Sure is I
Sound
want to
is
say yeah.
so much
Yeah,
better.
it is, yeah. It's so there are some podcasting microphones. The Yeti is a good mic.
Yep, we got one of
Shure
those.
brand is a good mic. And there's I think it's the Blue Yeti, and then there's one other brand. But I know that the Yeti and the Shure are very, very good. And I'm telling you, when I had the other mic, and it's, again, the other mic served me well. I still have it. But when I first spoke into this, I said, "Oh yeah, this is on a different level.
Yes,
This is on a
yeah.
different level."
Yeah,
So
because
yeah,
when you got close, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds so different. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So
So
go ahead, continue.
yeah, I'm able to, help people to know, like, there is a process through doing the course and then selling the course, right? There's
Wow.
just so much more to it. Like, even doing a podcast is going to help you sell your course more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's people that are listening to you, like, what are you doing? I am able to teach people, like, if we're doing a traditional funnel type methodology for selling, you have the lower end things at the top of the funnel, higher end products at the lower end of the funnel. Or we talk about flipping the funnel, where you're selling higher end at the top, and I'm talking higher end. It could be up to, six figures. It could be, five, four figures, but it's a higher price. And then downselling. Either way, it all depends upon who you are, what your expertise is, what your value is, and what problem you are solving. And then we determine from there which way we're going to go. Do you have money for ads? Do you not have money for ads? How do we do it? Like, it's a whole thing. And some people think that it's just doing a course on my way to heaven. It's way more than that. It's way more than that. And so being able to get with people and to talk the whole strategy out, right? And be able to say, okay, so based on what you're saying, what you have, how much money you have, how much money you don't have, your expertise, your outcome, your ideal customer, how long it's going to take. This is what I recommend, and this is why. So I just love the process. So because I've been doing it for so long. And then,
Mm-hmm.
Doc, let me back up. I also, because when you've done something for so long and you're really good at it, and then you actually have to slow down and teach it. You actually have to, like, okay, how do I actually slow down and teach this actual part, right? Because I go through the process. This is how I write a course. I start thinking about the course first. So I think about it for a couple of days, and I'm writing it in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I start doing is I say, okay, let me write down what the outcome is that I want, and then how many parts I need. Okay, this is how many parts. And then I can go directly to PowerPoint. I don't have to do the sub parts, or I don't have to do anything, because I've learned how to write it as I'm designing the PowerPoint with it. But I can't teach people to do it like that, because that's a more advanced way to do it, right? I can skip a number of steps, right? Because I've done it so many times. And so as I was writing how to do courses, like if I'm doing a DIY, I actually had to slow down and say, let me show you all these parts that are just the course part. And then let me show you all these parts that are the marketing part, or all these parts that are the, how to protect your intellectual property, or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm able to do. I know that's a lot, but there is a lot more to it.
Right. Now I teach courses on Blackboard for the college that I work at,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I've been wanting to develop a program for grandmas.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that is different. I'm looking for a different platform, because we use Blackboard at the college. Well, Blackboard costs like two arms, two legs, and a couple
And
of
a
feet.
thigh. Yes, yes, yes,
Exactly.
yes.
So we are not using Blackboard. So I looked around. My son has developed some courses on Teachable.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, check Teachable out. I checked Teachable out. I checked out a couple of different ones. And I finally decided on Teachable. But now that I decide on Teachable, I don't like Teachable. But anyway, it's too late, because now I paid and now I'm going to do it.
So
Right.
so let's talk about it. Why do you not like Teachable?
Because it was a little bit, and so I'm so used to Blackboard, I think, that it's so different, and so I haven't figured out, the pieces of it that I where I know where to put this one. Because so, of course I'm coming from an academic perspective. So
Mm-hmm.
academics, we have a topic, we have a module, we have objectives and outcomes for that module. Then we have activities, blah 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 blah. So because this is not an academic course, it's more of a lifestyle kind of course, right? Do I use the same, pieces or components? Because in education we always have objectives, we always have the outcomes, blah 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 blah. We always have the activities. We have some theory, all of that stuff. And do I use the same? So that's when I'm started questioning that. So do I use the same components for this versus what I do in academics and that sort of thing? So that's where I'm getting a little stuck. Then I want to add video. So I want to take myself, videotape myself doing something, saying something. I because I have a podcast, if a podcast relates to whatever that topic is, of course I want to embed that in there. All right. And then I might even do some YouTube videos. So again, finding all of the pieces to go with it and make sure it flows. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And then the other thing is I wanted to add some other people because I want to build it around a concept and I don't know all the pieces of the concept. Does that make sense?
Yes. So
So
let me
I
help you. Let
okay,
me
go
help you
ahead.
with a couple of things. So Teachable is good. Thinkific is good as well.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah,
Think.
Thinkific is good. Kajabi is going to be more expensive than you need to pay, so don't worry about that. Or you can have it built. You don't seem just right now to be one that needs one built,
Mm-hmm.
per se, but you can get it built. And obviously, I'm a person that can help you to do that. But that's just
Oh,
me
you know how
saying
to
that.
build a
Yes,
platform.
yes,
Wow.
yes. And so that's one thing. The second thing is don't think about it in terms of should you come from an academic perspective. Come think about it from terms of what the grandmother needs,
Mm.
because that can solve the whole problem right there. Does the grandma care about the objective? Does the grandma care about the lesson structure? Does the grandma, what she want? She want a video, she wants you to tell her something, and she wants something easy to click on or download. So if you think about it from that perspective, it just solved a whole bunch of your
Oh yeah,
problems.
that is true.
Right.
Wow.
So you always want to think about it from that perspective. And then you want to keep after yourself, what is the outcome of this course for this grandmother? What's the outcome? And
Mm-hmm.
then let's say that course has six components. Does
Mm-hmm.
every component lead to a step
Net.
towards getting them to the next thing? And I like this. So this is how, a little bit of my secret sauce. Can that component stand alone? Now, the reason why I like to teach can that component stand alone is because you could do so much from that one component. You could have talks on that component. You could do mini lessons on that component. You could do webinars on that component. You could do a small ebook on that component. You could do little snippets on that component. I can show you how in 6 lessons you can make at least 40 to 50 pieces of content just from that because of how you can break it down. So if each one can stand alone, you can take that one and make a whole lesson or a whole mini thing and charge for that one thing by itself.
Oh, and
Oh
so
yeah, I
and
like
not
the
the whole course, not the whole.
yeah. So maybe if somebody just needed that component because that component was good, you could pull that component out, sell that component for a little bit cheaper. Say if you want that, I got a whole thing over there. You could take. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I like to show you how to do it in both ways, not just do it as a whole, but do it as a whole, but
Right.
make sure they can stand alone as well.
Right. Okay. So if a person says, okay, even though this is talking about, let's say health, wellness, fashion, that sort of thing, or makeup, whatever, right? Just
Right.
take them. And I only want the makeup one. I'm doing good on my fashion stuff. So let's just make sure the makeup one can stand by itself.
I want you to make sure all of them can stand alone.
Right. I
And
understand that, but that's what I mean.
yes, and you make the decision. This makeup one, I might be able to, as I like to say, put a little more stank on it and make
Right.
that a course by itself, right?
Right. Right.
I could have a 1 day webinar where I'm charging people even $25 to come to that, and you just made
Yeah.
money on that one thing. And
Mhm.
tell them if you like this, I got this whole course that's
Ah. I like the
I'm
way
giving
you
you the
think,
South, Dad. I'm giving you the South.
about this because I've been struggling with, okay, now do I do what I can do? Yeah, that's where I've been struggling, and of course I didn't have the time in the book because my semester just ended. So but now this summer I said we're going to work on it, so this is so timely that I'm talking to you.
Absolutely.
So timely.
And don't do more than you need. Do what is
Mhm.
going to get to the outcome for that grandmother. You got to keep asking yourself that question, because the only thing that happened is you got into the weeds too much and you start thinking of academia, right? And then you got into the weeds. I was like, no, get out of the weeds. Just, does this grandmother need this? And this grandmother, you have to think of that grandmother that wants to take this course. What does she need? What does she want? How is she going to like it? And then you put it together like that. That's it.
Mm. That seems so simple. So,
It
yeah,
is simple.
it really seems so simple. Yeah, and I've been toiling over that. Now, my son does courses, and his focus is veterans,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he will do just what you said. He'll take one little snippet of something, and then and then he does a little ebook about it. I mean, and I'm like, who did he listen to? Is he one of your clients?
That's how you do it. You can turn anything into multiple pieces just like that, because you already have the content that's there. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's that also lends me to believe that I could do the same thing with the podcast, right? Like
Absolutely.
I take one podcast episode, build that, and build something around that for a course as well.
So let me actually flip it for you as well. So you said you've written a book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you would make way more money turning that book into a course. You know why? Because with books, there's always a perceived value of that book. If you look at the New York Times bestseller list, if you look at anybody's book, I don't care, hardback, what's the most you pay for, like, generally speaking, a hard, not a university book, but like a New York Times bestseller fiction? What's about the
30,
value?
maybe 30.
Exactly. So there is always a perceived value that tops off for books. You could take that same course, that same book, flip it into a course, and charge 100 times that amount because of the perceived value of courses.
Mm. Mm.
Yep, that'll change your life right there. Because they're just because you're talking from your value. And
Mm.
so your value is worth more. We've all put a perceived number on books. Period. That's just the way it is. That's just the way that it is. But courses, you could pay 6, 7 figures for courses.
Mm.
You could pay $1,000. You could pay. Watch this. If you take that same book and you did a course that's at your own pace, DIY, and you charge $197 for that course, you sold one course. You have paid for, if you have a $20 book, you just sold 10 books.
Mm-hmm.
One
Mm-hmm.
course.
One course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. So now my book, and I don't know if my book will lend itself to that. So, and here's why, but you can tell me. So my book is interviews of other grandmas, not just me, other grandmas. In the book, and this is something that I thought about. In the book, I interview them, I talk to them about, their life, their grandchildren, blah, 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 blah. Then I say, what life lessons would you share? Okay, and so everyone is different. What grandma gems, okay, would you do you want to include in here? So I took the grandma gems, right, and I've used them as little reels or something because we did it all through Zoom. We did the interviews through Zoom. So I used them as reels on Instagram or whatever. So that's
I already have a
another.
course, by the way, but go ahead. I'm gonna let you keep talking.
Okay. So that way I've already taken that content and use it in a different way. It's in the book. Now it's on Instagram. But Instagram's not paying me for that. So now the next question is, so how do I then take that information and turn that into a course?
Okay, so you said it was what was the main premise that you were getting from gyms? So
Right.
what happens if you have grandmothers who are um maybe they're suffering a loss and they want they need some daily encouragement to help them get through. Here is a course that we're going to take for the next 60 days. Every day, you're going to have one course that is 5 to 7 minutes. And we're going to tell you, so we're going to give you some gems and we're going to tell you how you can use this to uplift your spirit.
5 to 7 minutes course?
No, you could take, so let's say you did 60 interviews.
Uh-huh.
Take each of those and have it be a 5 to 7 minute, each video, do a 5 to 7 minute thing, each one. And you could charge, even if you charge $47 for it, $97 for it. And for 60 days, every day for 60 days, this course is meant to help uplift you over the next 60 days to get you out of, maybe you're in a funk, maybe you're not feeling good about yourself, but these are some things from other grandmothers all around the world that have been here to help you. It's not even a lot of time. Matter of fact, there's audio to it. You can listen to it on your way to a girl. Do not play with me, Doc. I can turn anything into a product. You sure can turn that into something.
Wow.
It's about the avatar and where they are, because it could be something that's uplifting. Maybe you can turn this into, maybe you say, ooh, these are some lessons I got from a Bible study. And we could flip this thing, put a little Bible verse to it. This is something I've learned for the next 60 days. Here's a course for it. Come on now. I do this all day.
Whoa. Whoa, Dr. T, you are off the chain. Oh my God. I never even thought about it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sitting here on a gold mine.
Yes, you are. Courses don't have to be long. They don't have to be so
I'm thinking college. This is the college professor in me thinking.
My daughter said to me the other day, she said, we were talking about her job and, some things God's doing with her. And she was like, I can't wait to be self-employed. I said, no, you don't. She was like, yes, I do. I want to have my own business. I said, no, you don't want to be. You want to be a business owner. She said, well, I thought that's what the business. Let me explain the difference. I said, the difference is if you can make money in your sleep. That's the difference.
Yes, that's the difference.
That's the difference. If you can make money in your sleep. Because if you go down, your business doesn't make money. You don't want to be self-employed. You want to be a business owner. So even if you took that, something like that, because sometimes we think a course has to be $497 or $5. If you took that same thing and that course was $19, but you were selling 100 of them, but by the time you woke up in the morning, if they was $29, if it was less than $1 a day, if it was $49, it was $97. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it don't have to be way over there. And you go to sleep and you wake up. You go speak to a women's group and you tell everybody at that women's group, and there's 400 women in there. You better stop playing with me. You better stop playing with me. Gift it to one of your sister friends, and then but I was gonna say Black Friday sale. I'm gonna tell you how Black Friday messed me up one day. There was this lady, she did, of course, this was years ago, Doc. She said, she has a following. She said, I wanted to have some extra spending money for the holidays. So I put out I did a webinar, whatever. And she said, and I told them, I think it was $100 something. She said I made an extra $30,000. That's when I knew. It don't have to be. When we get the following, when you get the email address, when you get that and you say, I'm going to do one webinar, 2 hours, put it out there to your people, make that paper like that. Like we working too hard. We got to work smart. Right. And so, you have all of this knowledge, all of this academia. It's about getting a following, getting people on your email list, saying, look, I have this thing that I'm going to do on this day to talk to grandmas like this. Boom, put a price tag on it and let's let it do. Here's the, even if 4 people come the first time, you're still successful.
Yes.
Because we're going to make it better the next time. We'll make it better the next time. We'll make it better the next time. By the time you look up, you got 1,000 women beating down the door, wanting to come in there to hear what it is that you have to say and what it is you have to do. It all can work that way. So that's kind of, I get excited about this stuff because I'm like,
we are excited.
On top of a gold mine with what's up here, the intellectual property. Yes, we just got to flip it different. That's all we have to do. Flip it different.
Sign me up. I'm putting my phone number in the chat. Okay. And you need to stop playing. Okay. Because guess what? Oh my God. We need to do this. Oh my, you're
absolutely
ideas that I hadn't even thought about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Please write my
Absolutely.
number down. I have your
Absolutely.
information already.
Absolutely.
Now don't get
Absolutely.
mad if I start calling you every day. Okay.
No, you know what? I like to work with people who want to be worked with, right? And that's what I
Yes.
say, right? That
Yes.
you have most of the time it happens like this is like you like yourself, you have knowledge and it's I'm literally like, oh my God, you are
Right.
sitting on top of a gold mine. Like you already have it. You got drives on your computer with stuff
With
that you
stuff.
could be flipping and doing
Yes.
this the right way and doing it
Yes.
differently, right? And it's just about connecting with the right people and
Yes.
knowing how to do it in a way that works with for you and your schedule and your lifestyle, your direction. And then saying, okay, I have it now. We got to put the work together and make it happen because I have the expertise. That's not the question at all.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
That's not the question. Do I have the knowledge? Now it's like, okay, how do I
Yep.
put this together to make it do what it needs to do? So
That's why I named this packaging your knowledge for profit. Okay, knowing how to do it.
yes,
So cash in on your know-how, your knowledge, and like you said, we don't do that enough. And sometimes
absolutely.
we talk ourselves out, and I think that's what I'm like. Okay, I got this. I can do this with it, but I need to be thinking of I can do this with it, and I can also do this with it, and like you said, I can flip it and do this with it with that
Yeah.
same piece of content.
Same thing. Same thing. Same thing. It's just how we're going to do it, and do we have an audience that would want what we have? That's we don't have a product problem. We have a traffic problem. That's
Mm,
always the only problem.
mm.
And I'm going to give Russell Brunson credit for that. We don't have, because it's a numbers game, Doc. It's only a numbers game. Because I believe that God has given me enough knowledge that somebody wants what I have. So I
Mhm.
just have to connect with the people that want what I have. There's enough people who want good stuff for grandmas that don't have to be um like you see, like when we grew up and you see stuff of the way on TV and it looks old and antiquated. No, you could be fly, you could
Yes.
be you could be vibrant, you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And you can still be about making your business, right? Having your business do what it needs to do. And how do I help them to do that? And so it's all about finding the people. And I just believe I'm crazy enough to continue to believe in God enough to say there are people who want what I have. You've given me
Yes.
this knowledge for something, right? So
Yes. 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 And you know what's so crazy is that my assistant is the one that found you, right? And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, no wonder why she found. And I said, you know what? Because I said to her, I'm thinking about developing some courses. And the next thing I know, she sends your name to me. I'm like, oh my God. And when I read your bio, I'm like, that girl, I just love that girl. Okay. Because
yes,
she
yes,
knows
yes,
what I
yes,
need. Right? She's
yes,
definitely my ram in the bush because I may not have known you or even known about you had it not been for
absolutely,
her. So that's a
absolutely.
blessing. Yes, it was such a blessing. So now I want to say, I want to ask you to kind of let people know how they can get in touch with you.
All
I
right.
already,
You
I
can
already got
easily go to my website, shelaunchesit.com. You can get anything you need on there. She Launches It is my podcast, and I hope, Doc, to be able to get you on my podcast as
I
well.
would love it.
Um, Absolutely. And so shelaunchesit.com, you can get in contact with me there. I have some free resources under freebies. You can work with me. Anything that you need is there. And I would love to hear from you. And on that front page, you can scroll to the bottom. You can leave me a voice message. You don't even have to put in your email. And if you ask me a question there, I will read it on the air on my podcast. And I also hope that you guys join my podcast as well.
All right. I love it. I love it. And see, I've learned something new from you too about the questions, having the questions there for the podcast. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Dr.
Actually, I can
T,
show you something. I'm going to show you a little something on that when we get off air. So I'll show you that.
okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. So, Dr. T, thank you so much for being on here today. I really, really appreciate it. And I look forward to working with you. So I'm going to loop back around so we can talk. Okay.
Absolutely. God bless you. Thank you, Doc. Take care.
Okay. You're welcome.
Introducing a remarkable book a tapestry of stories from atypical grandmas whose lives are a treasure trove of wisdom and inspiration. Stories of inspiration, life lessons, and wisdom from grandmas by Dr. Marsha McLean. This extraordinary book is now available on www.grandmas2.0.com and on Amazon.